Thank you, Mr. Eads and James Pierce. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished members of SportAccord, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great privilege and pleasure to welcome you to this 2019 SportAccord Summit here in Gold Coast. I have been enjoying thoroughly last year and the day before the opening gala and the traditional dances of Aborigines yesterday evening, and many welcome speeches and visions are presented by particularly President IOC Thomas Baha and many other global sports leaders today. I understand this is the 17th edition of SportAccord, and it is clear that this annual gathering of sports family has become a vital occasion on this calendar. Of course, changes and opportunities for sports, like the world in general, the world political situation in general, have evolved over the past 16 years since the first SportAccord in May 2003. What did sport look like back then in 2000, early 2000? Serena Williams had just won the first of her 7 Australian Open tennis title, while Roger Federer had not even won a Grand Slam yet. And Lionel Messi was still a few months away from making his first team debut with Barcelona. He was just a 16-year-old, almost a boy, rather than man. Now, there's a lot of changes since then. The world as a whole also looked very different. There were no social media. There was a virtually non-existence, like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter hadn't been launched yet. Less than a quarter of people worldwide had a cell phone in 2003. Now there are more active cell phones than people on the planet. Just 1 in 10 of the global population has access to the internet back then. Now it is more than half. The point I'm making this morning by quoting all these statistics is that the world has changed dramatically since then, during the last 16 years. And as you know, the industries, we are now in the advent of fourth industrial revolution, artificial intelligence, big data, Internet of Things, etc., and robotics. And there are not much human beings can do at this time. We leave many things to machines, robots. It's very hard to follow all this situation. Personally, if I may talk about myself, my experience, I'm really struggling to follow a current trend of technologies and communications. I started from first revolution. I've been, my father and myself have been living during the time of first revolution, industrial revolution, then second, third revolution. When I became Secretary General in 2007, people, the staff of the United Nations, they were surprised when I mailed back to their mails. My predecessor, Kofi Annan, has never used emails. I was the first Secretary General, only in 2007, just 12 years ago. But I was just like a baby, small baby. In terms of global communication, I'm now struggling to follow. My son and even my granddaughter, who is 4 years old, she's taking all these movies and etc. herself. So I am really struggling. I know that most of you are different from me. Anyway, in recent years, it has become increasingly recognized that data holds the key to understanding these trends and changes also provides a pathway to react accordingly. However, having access to quality data is only part of the challenges which we are now facing. To get real value and understand where we have come from and where we are going, we need to know what to do with the data. That is why I am delighted that the theme of this year's SportAccord Summit here in Gold Coast is the future of big data and analytics. This is a topic of particular interest for me. It was my great privilege to serve as the Secretary General of the United Nations for 10 years. In September 2015, to be exact, September 25th, 2015, the world's leaders of 193 member states have gathered at the United Nations, including President of my own country, Korea. They've been discussing and negotiating hard, sometimes angrily, sometimes passionately, to get the right visions, right themes for the future of our humanity. Not only humanity, but also our planet Earth. This is what we call Sustainable Development Goals, with the 17 goals, 169 targets. Known as SDGs, I think this is by far the most far-reaching, most ambitious visions the world leaders, the United Nations, has ever presented during the last 7 decades for the people and for this planet Earth. It is comprised into 5 Ps. 5 Ps. First, the people. Second, planet. Then peace, prosperity, and partnership. Please remember, these 5 Ps covers all the spectrums of our life, including our planet Earth. That means, first of all, hunger eradication, good health, quality education, water, energy, marine resources, ocean. This Australia is just covered 4 sides by sea. And sustainable cities, peace, partnerships, and human rights. And all these are something the world leaders have presented us to implement. Sports takes a very important part of this. Sport is not just for human practice. Sport is not for your own health. Of course, without health, there is no sound spirit. In sound, healthy body gives you sound spirit. How then we measure? How do we measure the progress which we are going to make until 2030? How do we make sure that we are implementing them in a both effective and efficient manner for the good of the world? The answer is simple. By analyzing data. This is what we are now talking about as a sports leaders. One may wonder, what's the matter of this whole data analytics for the sports? We just enjoy sports, but all sports are being measured by data. Current technology now counts even 1/100th of a second. It's not only the speed, but there are many important areas where sports can provide. To ensure the goals of the Sustainable Development adopted at the United Nations, there is an ongoing need for systematic approach. Scientific evidence, metrics, and data are fundamental to this process. And therefore, in the course of consulting with the member states on these goals, I established a panel of scientists. Again, I established a panel of statisticians, because only with scientific statistics, and only with the evidence of scientific research, we can make a genuine progress in these Sustainable Development Goals. For the United Nations, information and data will therefore continue to play a crucial role in allowing process to be evaluated and strengthened in the future. And the same is true with the sports. Again, I'm emphasizing again and again, sports cannot be separated. Sports cannot work in separation of all these, what United Nations have presented. Big data and analytics can strengthen sport in a number of areas. They can help to drive interest in growing markets and regions, engaging young people, and increasing participation levels of all the people around the world. They can improve the quality of performances and extend sporting careers by helping elite athletes to train more effectively and recover more easily. They can bolster solutions, scoutings, recruitment, and tactics. To protect itself and become stronger, sports needs to understand big data and analytics. But with so many significant challenges in the world today, why does sports matter in the grand scheme of things, even politics? The reason is that, without question, sport is an overwhelming power for good in the world. There are many means and ways to promote peace or something, but I have never seen that than sports. Sports can have a magic power to instantly raise energy and passion. Just one fine shooting, or one nice shot or something, it really makes people stand up, elevate their excitement. It contributes toward better physical and mental health. It is increasingly used as a vehicle for gender equality, sustainable development, and peace building in communities and nations. Its principles are built on the foundation of fair play and mutual respect that can be carried by its participants into all walks of life. Of course, there is an issue of excellence. Of course, everybody wants to beat others. But what is more important is mutual respect and fair play. It can provide a positive pathway for the youth in a world laden with many difficulties. With this in mind, I'm also delighted to be participating in the United Through Sports Youth Conference here this week. Now, let me just tell you one very moving example which happened in the past. When I was serving as a Secretary General, that was in 2015, December, a very cold day. The many United Nations ambassadors, particularly led by British, French, and German ambassadors, I was invited. They were playing soccer on the field of United Nations. It's not regular soccer. Just, ambassadors, all the people, they were just playing games. It was in commemoration, in remembrance of a very historic example, what happened 100 years ago, 1914, almost at the end of First World War, while Christmas was approaching. Just on the eve of Christmas, the people, the soldiers, counting each other, they came out of their